Okay, so I've gone over 3 Joey Gallo trade proposals and 4 Aaron Judge trade proposals. And since then, we now know that Aaron Boone is returning as the Yankees manager too, on a 3-year deal with a 4th-year option, team option, which is probably going to be exercised. But I want to continue on with the trade proposals right now, because today we're going to talk about Gleyber Torres. 3 Gleyber Torres trade proposals. Now, we don't know yet what Aaron Boone's coaching staff is going to look like. So, which is going to be important because, you know, bringing in some people, not only a better hitting coach or somebody who's going to unlock some, some things from players like Joey Gallo and maybe Gleyber Torres, and if they stay here, that's going to be important. But also somebody to light a fire under some players that have lazy spells like Gleyber Torres, Gary Sanchez. We don't really know whether any of these guys or all these guys are going to stay yet. But if the Yankees decide to move on from Gleyber Torres, then that would create an opening at second base. And it sounds as if they've already admitted that, the Gleyber Torres shortstop experiment did not work. It was a mistake, and he's a better fit at second base. So the chances of them staying are probably 50-50 right now. A little bit more than 50-50, but if he does stay, the chance of him being at second base are close to 100%, which means they're going to have to make a move at shortstop, right? Unless DJ goes to third and Gio goes to shortstop, and then they're still going to have to make a move at first base. Either way, they're going to have to make some moves. But if they decide to move on from Gleyber Torres, here are 3 trades that I think would be reasonable representative trades to get stuff back from him, stuff that the Yankees need. And I've already been talking about the need to boost their catching prospects within the system, because there is no really answer or option to replace Gary Sanchez. That's a long-term solution. It's not Kyle Higashioka. We know this already. He's not terrible, but he's not a starter. But we need some catching depth in the pipeline. But here's my first trade, okay? And in this one, I'm sending Gleyber Torres and Luke Voit and Yoendris Gomez, who's their number 10 prospect, a right-handed pitcher, over to the Oakland A's for Matt Olson and Zach Galoff, who's their number 7 prospect, a third baseman. Okay, or the alternative would be sending Torres and Luke Voit and Gio Urshela, and as well as Gomez, over to Oakland for Matt Olson and Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea, pitcher, left-handed pitcher. He's going to be a free agent in 2023. There is no way the A's are going to pay him big. Just like there's no way the A's are going to pay Matt Olson big. There's no way the A's are going to pay Matt Chapman big. And even though this is a pretty hefty trade, the Yankees could call up somebody like Oswald Peraza to replace Gio Urshela. And I know Gio Urshela will be a little bit more of a painful piece to move, but there's other guys in free agency whom they could replace him by. And this is an opportunity for them to get a frontline first baseman and a frontline starting pitcher, okay, in a trade that they get plugged in behind Garrett Cole. I still think they need to sign one in free agency regardless, but you add Manaea to it, and then you add somebody like Robbie Ray, and now you have a whole completely revamped rotation. You have a new first baseman, okay? And yes, they moved on from Gleyber Torres in this trade, but you have DJ you can move over to second too. So this creates some flexibility, some roster spots. This is also a way for the Yankees to move multiple players, controllable players, clearing up multiple roster spots, which is something they need to do too to protect new guys from the Rule 5 draft next year. Okay, and plus they have I think 7 or 8 guys on the 60-day IL now as well. So they need to do some roster spot cleaning. They're going to make some significant changes this offseason. I just don't know what, but this is a chance to move Torres and some other players and get some major value in return. So the first trade is with the Oakland A's. Okay, again, it's either him and Voit and Yoendris Gomez for Matt Olson and Zach Galoff, who's a third base prospect, or Torres, Voit, Gio, and Gomez to Oakland for Olson and Sean Manaea. That would be a blockbuster trade. It would be. Okay, that's trade number 1. Trade number 2, Gleyber Torres and Chad Green to the Los Angeles Dodgers for Gavin Lux, who's controllable until 2027, and Maddox Bruns, who's their number 12 prospect, a left-handed pitcher. So they get a versatile, multiple position player who bats lefty, okay? And in return, the Dodgers get, because there's a good chance the Dodgers are going to be moving on from Chris Taylor and Corey Seager. And even though they have Gavin Lux, Gleyber Torres is a little bit further along offensively than Lux is, and I think there's a good chance that you add him to that lineup with that kind of surrounding cast, supporting cast. He'll play significantly better in the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Yankees will get Gavin Lux, who would be a super young kind of multiple position player. Okay, this to me is a little bit more of a non-sexy swap, but I think it would be a very productive swap. So, and the Dodgers would also be getting a relief pitcher as well to add to that stable of relievers that they have already. Okay, that's trade number 2. And trade number 3, there's also 2 options, 3A and 3B. Okay, 3A is Gleyber Torres to Seattle. Just him. And just as a heads up, they have Shed Long there right now and Sean Haggerty, I think, playing second base. He's an upgrade over both of them. So Gleyber Torres will go to Seattle for Harry Ford, their number 5 prospect, a catcher. It was the catching prospect I was talking about. And Brandon Williamson, their number 7 prospect, a left-handed pitcher. Okay. So 2 prospects in return for Gleyber Torres, 3 controllable years of Gleyber Torres, and it would be an offensive upgrade over there in Seattle, and they'd get a full-time second baseman there, a long-term option there. 3B would be Gleyber Torres and adding Chad Green again over to Seattle, same team, for Henry Ford again, okay, or Harry Ford, number 5 prospect, the catcher. Brandon Williamson again, the number 7 prospect, left-handed pitcher, but now we're adding Matt Bush, the number 10 prospect, a right-handed pitcher. So we're adding a pitcher, they're adding a pitcher, but the meat and potatoes of the trades remain the same. Torres and Chad Green over to Seattle for 3 players in return. All right. So this is, and keep in mind too, Chad Green going over to Seattle can help replace Kendall Graveman, who they traded over to Houston, is now playing in the playoffs. So that was a perplexing trade for so many people, so many Seattle fans, and I don't know either, but why they moved him over there. But Chad Green gives them a controllable, reliever on the cheap for a whole year that they could re-up with. That probably won't break the bank. So, but somebody add back to the bullpen stable there. He's not Kendall Graveman. Not many people are, but he's still, when he's on, he's on. And I don't think they would overuse him in the first half of the season the way the Yankees did in 2021, because he was gassed at the end of 2021. So, those are my 3 trades involving Gleyber Torres. Okay. Pretty much there's a combination of players, so it's a multiple player trade because of the fact that he's not a Matt Olson or guys like that. So they're going to need to boost the trade, I think, on the Yankees end. But the talent level's there. He's only 24. He still has a high upside, and you put him in the right surroundings, you get the right coaches, they'll get a lot out of him. Plus, he's one of the Yankees that still have, even though his trade value's down, he still has more trade value than Luke Voit alone and some of these other players. So, but adding him to players, especially Oakland, where you get multiple controllable players because they are not in the business of paying their impending free agents, this gives them 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 controllable players. Oakland, which is right up their ballpark, and giving the Yankees back a legitimate first baseman and a legitimate first baseman and a top-end starter. So, and with the Dodgers, again, multiple positional player for Gleyber Torres and potentially Chad Green. It's a good trade as well. And Seattle, you got 2 options too, but you get a catching prospect there that the Yankees need. And every one of my trade proposals, and if you haven't seen my Aaron Judge trades and my Joey Gallo trades, they're in the description below. Okay, and you'll see each one of them has a trade with a high-end catching prospect coming back to the Yankees, which is a need, an absolute dire need that the Yankees have. They don't have obvious replacements for Sanchez in the high levels of the systems, AAA especially. They don't, okay? This gives them some catching depth, which they need. And I've already said about them needing to draft catchers every single year in the first 10 rounds, 1 to 2 of them, to give them a more robust group of catchers in the pipeline, either for development and moving up to the system or using in trades as well. So, by the way, I'm going to be talking about Aroldis Chapman next. I'm going to have trade proposals for him, so if you want to see it and you haven't subscribed yet, do that right now. Hit the notification so you don't miss that, all right? And then I have a whole bunch of good videos after that. The next one after that, I've got 3 blockbuster trade New York Yankee trade proposals, so I think you're going to like that one too. And then I got a whole bunch after that. I'm almost finished with my MLB free agent predictions, and I want to get that out before the end of the World Series, so that's when free agency starts or shortly thereafter. So I'll have that out for you too. So, but I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, hit that thumbs up. Okay, and thanks so much for watching as always. And for the folks that have been with me since the beginning, you're the best. I thank you and love you guys. And we're going to be talking about this stuff in the live stream tonight. So enjoy your day. Talk to you next time. Go Yankees.